and welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I am Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And I do have stuff for us to talk about at the top today, Skye, that's not necessarily Sabrina related. So earlier today, when I was avoiding work, I was on social media and I got this BuzzFeed article suggested to me about French tacos.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a French taco?
Is it just like a crepe with things inside?
No. So there's a whole French fast food chain called O Tacos.
Okay.
And they have a grand total of over 400 locations and call themselves the French Tacos Boss on social media. So it's kind of like their version of Taco Bell, but maybe worse. So I'm going to read you off descriptions of 5 of their tacos. Tacos in quotation marks. So they look like a burrito. It looks kind of like a tortilla, but doesn't look really like a tortilla. And all the stuff is like shoved inside and it's like wrapped up in the tortilla. So the first one is the O Classic. Inside of it, you have chicken nuggets, Algerian sauce, melted cheddar, French fries, and cheese sauce.
Sounds like heartburn.
Instead of eating your chicken nuggets and fries separately, wrap them in a tortilla with some cheese and eat it all in one. This one is a French name, and I'm going to butcher it. It's the Au Chèvre Miel. This one has chicken tenders, honey, French fries, cheese sauce, and grated cheese. Honey again, I don't know why that's listed twice. And goat's cheese gratin. A lot of cheese and some chicken tenders and some fries. Then you have the O Spicy, which is spicy tenders. Something called samurai sauce, because nothing says taco like some samurai sauce. Jalapenos and cheese nuggets. French fries, again. Cheese sauce and melted cheddar, and then a jalapenos pepper gratin. The jalapenos are like on the top, and then there's like a piece of cheese melted on the top, and then inside there's like, I don't know, they're like, yeah, they're nuggets. They look like little what are those fried cheese sticks things called?
Mozzarella sticks.
Mozzarella sticks, thank you. It's like a mozzarella stick with jalapeno pieces inside of it, based on the cross section. And then we get to the O India, which is again chicken nuggets, curry sauce, cheddar, jalapenos, and cheese nuggets again, French fries, and cheese sauce. The last one is the au fromage, something like that. It's chicken cordon bleu. So chicken with cheese inside of it, inside a tortilla wrap with barbecue sauce, French fries, cheese sauce, and raclette, and fried onions gratin.
I'm speechless. Like, why? What? How?
Which of those would you eat?
Well, I was getting down with the O India until we put jalapenos in our Indian taco.
And then if you don't like any of those, you can like create your own. So you have the option of like the chicken nuggets or chicken tenders. You can also choose a crispy veggie, which looks like a McDonald's hash brown. You can get ground beef inside your taco. You would also get falafel inside your taco. And then you can choose like different sauces. The samurai one kind of looks pink. It looks like maybe a spicy fry sauce. But then they also have something called burger sauce, which is pink and has like little green and red specks in it. You can also get chili Thai sauce. And then there's a whole bunch of cheeses. You can put gherkins in it or hash browns in it. I just needed to share this with the world because I was upset and I needed other people to be upset with me.
It's crazy they have 400 locations.
Right? I mean, I don't know if we have a ton of people who listen from France or anybody who listens from France. I don't think that's one of the countries Podbean specifically calls out. But if we do have anybody in France or who's just been to France and eaten at an O Taco, can you please weigh in for us? Does it taste better than it sounds? Because it sounds insane.
Did we just find our reason to go to France?
So we can have a chicken cordon bleu taco.
Right? Forget all the history. Forget all that fun stuff and culture.
Skye and Laura are going to eat their weight in French tacos.
Truly, I can only imagine the calories in a single taco.
Which seems so weird for French food. Like, they're so... I don't know. Maybe this is like... I mean, if it's their version of Del Taco, it's probably after you've been out all night drinking and maybe you're a little high, and this is the food that you eat when you're French.
Maybe.
I don't know. If anybody has ever tried, please let us know because we have questions.
So many.
Speaking of questions...
Look at that segue.
Look at that. It worked out so well. Our question of the week is going to be... Tell me about your first car, Skye.
First car I drove was a little white Chevy pickup. I think all of my siblings, we managed to keep it alive for all of us to drive. Maybe not Jared. And then when I went off to college, I got my great grandmother's car, and she had never driven it really while she had it. So it was a 1990 Corsica that only had like 16,000 miles on it when I got it.
Wow.
Corsica was a good little car until it died, but such is the way of the cars.
That was like mine. So I bought my first car from my mom. And it was her 1980s Toyota. And that thing lasted. So I bought it from her in 2002 because that's when she got her Highlander, because we're a Toyota family. I had it until 2010, where it had something like 250,000 miles on it at that point. It lasted a long time, and it just like the ignition wasn't working really anymore. Like at least once a week, I had to have somebody jump start my car because the ignition wouldn't ignite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a good car. My current car is only the second car I've ever had. It's the one I bought to replace that one. And that one's an '09 Toyota Corolla. And it's almost about to hit 200,000 miles. And I'm real nervous. It hasn't ever had any like major problems. I get it serviced regularly. So I'm hoping I can get another one that hits 250 and lasts me in 20 years.
That would be impressive.
Fingers crossed, because Laura can't afford a car payment right now. I mean, especially with the used car market being what it is right now, it's all sorts of insane. But I bought it because it had been a rental car for a year. So it was an '09, but I bought it in 2010. And so when I got it, already had something like 60,000 miles on it. And then it drove back and forth to Georgia there one time and then back one time. But then it drove around the state quite a bit when I was doing my old museum job at the Children's Museum and traveling around. It's got some miles on it.
Does it have a name?
It does not. I tried. I was always like, oh, and then I like would name it one day and then would forget like 3 hours later, whatever it was that I named it. Do you name your cars?
I called the Rogue Jyn Urso because I bought it right after Star Wars Rogue One came out, and they had their partnership with Nissan and all these commercials. And I was like,
yeah.
I'm still mourning Jin's death, so I have not named the Subaru yet because I'm in denial a year and almost a half later.
I cried when my old car died. Like I sobbed. And then I found out, because again, this is 2010, and I found out that my new car had an aux port in it, and I got really excited and was okay with losing my old car. All right, shall we talk about our episode? It is season 2, episode 20, My Nightmare the Car. TV guide description. Sabrina and Valerie share a car that Sabrina gets from the other realm that talks and prefers Sabrina. The Paramount Plus description, because Skye put it in this time, is a talking car causes Sabrina a big headache.
You know, that was some shade there.
It was some shade. All right, Skye, you want to talk about your guess from last episode?
Yes, my guess from last episode was Sabrina finally gets the car she's been whining about an entire season. She finally gets it. It's like the couches, though. It can talk and it can be creepy like the couches as well.
Pretty spot on. We're just missing some Valerie stuff, but well done.
Thank you.
It originally aired March 20th, 1998. Peter Baldwin is still directing. Writer Nell Scovell is back. We have not seen her since season 1, and I was kind of surprised to see her name pop up because it sounds like maybe season 1 was a bit traumatic for her. That's interesting that she's back. And then we have Charlie Tursick also as the writer, and they're the writer from Sabrina Claus and Dante's Inferno. We only have a few guest stars this time. The first one is Buddy Hackett as the voice of the car. He's a very famous nightclub comic from back in the day. You may recognize his voice as Scuttle from The Little Mermaid. He was also in The Love Bug, an episode of Boy Meets World. Dinosaurs. Did you ever watch Dinosaurs?
I did.
I apparently loved that show as a child, and I've been getting BuzzFeed articles or like threads posts about like how progressive for its time it actually was. So I've been trying to watch it again. I'm like, I don't know. I also don't super pay attention when I rewatch it. So Tim Maculin as Marty from Sybil, 6 Feet Under, Spider-Man 3. And then I saw Inside Out on his credits and got really excited, but it's the horror movie.
I didn't know there was a horror movie called Inside Out.
There sure is. And I'm wondering if it's because they turn people inside out.
You know, that was going to be my guess.
Then we have Yolanda Snowball as the auditor from Easy A, Parks and Rec. My Name is Earl, Malcolm in the Middle, and Abbott Elementary. Then we have Philip Bergeron as the car sales manager from Godzilla, Iron Man 2, ER, Jag, and then this is the title I have been waiting for weeks to tell you because I did all these notes like back in September. This movie, 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity with the Devil Inside the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Sold.
You're going to add it to the list.
I'm looking up Inside Out. See if I want to add it to my list as well.
I don't know if I want to see people turned inside out if that's what it is.
Families in an idyllic suburban neighborhood are taunted by a mysterious doctor who moves into town and spins a web of psychological chaos that changes their lives forever. So it might be more psychological than your skin is on the inside and your organs are on the outside.
I would watch a horror version of Disney's Inside Out. There's a new emotion in the brain and it's now paranoia.
Bing Bong comes back to life, but not in the way you want.
The 30 Nights of Paranormal Activity with that one, it has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Sounds fantastic. Probably like a C movie. It doesn't even get to be a B.
It's available on Amazon Prime. It says, in a spoof of horror films, a young woman released from a psychiatric hospital returns to the house where her father killed the entire cast of The Artist during his exorcism.
Cool.
All right, what were your overall thoughts on this one, Skye?
I'm glad the car didn't talk like the couches did. I was expecting the grill to be like fake mouthness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Got to do a deep dive into something, so appreciated that.
I saw something you missed, and you're going to be upset when you find out that you missed it. Well, I don't know if you're going to be upset. I'm going to still make you go on a tangent about it.
I feel pretty meh about this. It's a mid-episode. It's not the worst. It's certainly not the best.
Both Sabrina and Valerie annoy me in this one. Sabrina, because I feel like she's too much of a pushover. And Valerie, because I have never had a friend ask me to borrow my car that I bought with my own money repeatedly. Like, I think I've offered it like once or twice, like when I flew back home and it was in Georgia and I was like, oh, you can use it if you want. But like to get her car and then the very next moment, Valerie's like, oh, can I borrow it? Like that annoyed me. But then also Sabrina didn't stick up for herself at all.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Our cold open. Sabrina goes into the kitchen to find Zelda having returned from a mountain climbing expedition and removing her gear. She asks to borrow a sweater from Zelda, but Zelda says no because Sabrina doesn't take care of stuff.
Who knew silk was flammable? In response to Zelda's, remember my red blouse, Sabrina?
Hilda joins them, asking how Everest was. Zelda says it was responsible fun. And Hilda asks if Salem enjoyed it. Zelda suddenly realizes she left Salem alone on the mountain, and we see him with a cute little hat and scarf. And he says, is that a Yeti? Our outfit intro is a black and white striped prisoner outfit with a very bad wig. I think it's the same wig she wore in the Dolls story episode because it was just like straight blonde and super fake looking. And she says, I fought the law and the law won. Sabrina and Valerie are preparing to ask Mr. Kraft for money to attend a journalism symposium in New York. He walks past, and before Valerie can get out more than a few words, he says no. Sabrina is blatantly trying to get Hilda to go out with Mr. Kraft while helping with the dishes, but Hilda immediately shoots her down. Hilda isn't going out with him again because on the last date, they toured an accordion factory. I don't know. I would tour an accordion factory.
I wonder if there's an episode of How It's Made about accordions. Surely, there has to be one.
I would watch that. Hilda doesn't even want to be in the same building as him. A letter pops up in the toaster just as Zelda walks in. She and Hilda are having their magic audited because witches in the mortal realm are allotted a specific amount of magic because of the, quote, Pompeii incident.
Some witch with a lava fetish really messed up, says Hilda.
Lava fetish?
Who knows? I did not want to question it. I chose to move on in my brain space.
All right, we will move on because you have another note down here.
Yeah, well, Pompeii reminded me of a fun thing I've been going down recently, which is I got a PBS Passport subscription. Support your local PBS there. And they have Secrets of the Dead on there. And so I watched an episode recently where it's Pompeii adjacent. There's an estate outside of Pompeii that was actually Julius Caesar's father-in-law's big fancy place there. He had such an extensive library that there are several papyri, whatever scrolls there that are intact. They're too brittle to unravel, but they're developing software that 3D maps it, identifies the carbon in the ink, and then they have a deep learning model that's going layer by layer and starting to basically read these papyrus scrolls without even having to open them. And then it was like 4 years endeavor, and the first word they found was purple.
That's a good use of AI.
Right? Anyways, Pompeii reminded me, for those of you who are history nerds, Secrets of the Dead, really great.
I also like this line because it answers a lot of questions about why they don't use magic for some things. Because we've had this question before. If there's a limited amount of magic you're allowed to use in the mortal realm, which it still seems like quite a bit. It still doesn't seem like it's that limited, but it does answer the question for like why they don't just zap certain things in, or like why they're washing the dishes by hand, that sort of stuff.
But they're also very blasé about some of the things they do choose to use magic on.
So, I mean, I guess imagine what it'd be like if there was no limits.
Well, probably just as much chaos and no answers as we currently have.
Pompeii's what happens.
We will forget this episode ever happened when the writers reach who knows how many episodes from now.
Zelda summons their accountant in a filing cabinet. He's eating cake to celebrate a birthday in the office. Valerie shows up and they quickly shove the man back in the filing cabinet where he starts knocking. And sometimes people go to the front door and ring the doorbell. And sometimes they just walk in through the kitchen door. And I don't know why either one happens. I know it's just wherever they are in the set, but all right. Sabrina takes Valerie upstairs and they let the accountant back out. He gives them their return from last year, then heads back into the cabinet for the conga line. And I think I may have mentioned this in season 1, but in the background, there's a lobster claw oven mitt hanging up on the wall, and I really want one.
Noted.
My birthday's coming up, Skye.
I know.
I have an oven mitt for my right hand. I don't have one for my left hand, and it's really starting to bother me.
Do you have a claw for your right hand or just a regular
No,
one?
I just have like one that somebody gave with like a package of gingerbread cookie mix one Christmas as like a neighborhood gift. Yeah. And like a spoon or something. I can't remember. Anyway, Valerie is telling Sabrina that her grandmother is going to sell her old car, but Valerie can't afford it. So she proposes that Sabrina and her pool their savings together and they can share it. Sabrina thinks it's a great idea and they start fantasizing about what it'll be like to have a car. Sabrina and Valerie are presenting their idea to the aunts. Zelda is unsure about this, even if they have a very complicated plan to share the car. Zelda reluctantly says it's okay. According to the schedule, the car is Sabrina's tonight, and Valerie immediately asks to borrow it. And this is like teenagers, and also Valerie. I've been liking Valerie more lately. This was not a good Valerie episode. We get a montage. They start happily passing the keys in the hallway, and they get some fuzzy dice from Harvey. But then we get to Valerie pacing in the hall when Sabrina shows up and hands her the keys and the rearview mirror. Then Sabrina pacing when Valerie hands off the keys and a bent license plate. Valerie's waiting outside the school when Sabrina angrily confronts her with a bunch of parking tickets. And Valerie then shoves a bunch of trash in Sabrina's arms in the next scene. Sabrina throws the keys at Valerie in the hall, and Valerie throws them back at her later on.
I missed half of that stuff in that montage. I was very distracted because the subtitle says it's playing Semi-Charmed Kind of Life, and it's giving you the lyrics, but you don't hear lyrics. It's just some random guitar track that is not Semi-Charmed Kind of Life. But the subtitles were giving me those lyrics, and I was watching those lyrics and listening to the guitar, and it's like, these do not match up, and there is no vocal. And I feel cheated about the whole thing.
I'm glad actually to know that you didn't get Semi-Charmed Life either, because I saw this note and I was like, what the heck? I didn't get that on Hulu. And then I was like, well, this just proves I need to listen to it on Pluto. Maybe I will just go back after we're done and check Pluto and see if Pluto actually has it, or if nobody can afford Semi-Charmed Kind of Life. Sabrina and Valerie are fighting over the car in Sabrina's kitchen. The aunts come in to break it up and sit them down. Zelda knew they weren't responsible enough to handle this. Zelda tells Sabrina to ask Valerie for her portion of the money back, and Sabrina says that's fine and she'll just buy her own car, but Zelda forbids her from doing so because she doesn't take care of things. Sabrina is complaining to Salem, but he is unsympathetic because Sabrina locked him in the glove compartment.
Quick rural linguistics for you is I have always referred to it myself as the jockey box, not a glove compartment. It originates from the fact that before cars, you had wagons and you would have a box underneath the seat of the wagon where you would store your stuff, and it was called the jockey box. Thus, when we moved on to cars, that compartment then became the jockey box and not the glove compartment. Feel strongly on this.
I've only ever called it glove compartment. I've only ever heard it called glove compartment because I actually have gloves in my glove compartment.
Ooh, not mittens.
No, not mittens.
Good.
They're nice leather gloves.
Ooh, driving gloves.
I never wear them. They're there for when I get surprise snow and I need to clean off my car and I don't have gloves with me already or mittens.
We also get Cauldron Watch. There's maybe less pens in there, so I can only hope Sabrina's slowly having some character growth.
Salem doesn't understand why she doesn't buy her own car. She points out her lack of money, but he says cars are super cheap in the other realm because they're just a novelty. So Sabrina heads to the other realm and she says to tell her aunts that she is somewhere being very responsible, doing something responsible people do. To which Salem says, avoiding hot dogs at the track? Okay, Salem. The aunts are meeting with the auditor and call for their accountant, but he's not in the cabinet. He's run off with their magic savings. Flash to a tropical beach scene where Marty pops out of a wicker basket to ask for another pina colada. I loved Hilda's skirt in this scene, but I also wanted to share, because I found the actual script for this episode, because I was looking up something, because I couldn't hear it well enough. And this is this description of this scene that Marty is in. It's exterior, sunny other realm holiday hideaway, haunt of the rich and famous, and the criminal fugitive. Calypso steel drum music plays. A couple lie on sunbeds by the pool as a waiter walks past. A large wicker towel basket's lid opens, and Marty sticks his head out. Did you get that was a hideaway haunt for the criminal fugitives?
Did not get that.
I enjoyed the little description. Sabrina is browsing a car lot when Quizmaster comes out. And this place is called Callisto Motors, where I owe you a good deal. He works there part-time. Sabrina tells him she wants to buy a car, but isn't sure she can afford one. But for $5 down and $1.15 a month, she can purchase an orange convertible. They take it out for a test drive. And every single other customer in the background has a hat. So there are a lot of hats in the other realm. They get back and Sabrina loves the car.
She proudly asks the Quizmaster, "Did you see the way I swerved to avoid that baby carriage?"
Quizmaster starts to give her a talk about responsibility, but his boss shows up and stops him. She hands over $5 and gets the keys. Quizmaster again tries to warn her and sell her insurance. Sabrina gets home and tells Salem about her car, which gets delivered to her bedroom.
Salem's on the wicker basket outside of the closet to the other realm, and he is holding the pencil. Fully holding the pencil with his paw while doing the crossword. So this cat, I feel like, should be able to open doors and do a lot of things he claims he can't, based on how he holds that pencil alone.
It's the new Salem puppet. The old Salem puppet was the one who couldn't open the doors. He also asks if she got the Mack truck he suggested because nothing commands respect like 18 wheels and girly mud flaps.
Savage.
The aunts knock on Sabrina's door to ask if she's okay because they heard something fall. Sabrina covers up by saying that she and Salem are clogging and shuts the door again while she tries to figure out what to do with the car. Salem pipes in, "I'd appreciate it if you didn't imply that I clog." She tries zapping the car, but it doesn't move. Salem tells her to check the emergency brake, and this time it works when she zaps it. She checks out the window and sees it outside on the street. But when she turns back around, the car is in her room again. The car talks and says it doesn't like being alone and doesn't want to sleep outside. Sabrina has the car in the garage and puts a blanket on it while trying to convince it to stay outside.
Well, I love a new set and a new place in this house to find out about. Where is the aunt's car? That is a single car garage. Where's their fancy little car?
Here's a couple boring explanations. 1, there's actually a 3-car garage and the third part is separated and that's where they keep the car. 2, they park it on the street. 3, they sold it because they don't need it anymore. Here's a fun explanation. Number 4, the car is actually a miniature and they zap it larger when they need it. And when they don't, they zap it into tiny toy car size and they get it stored away in a much easier spot.
I feel like that would use a lot of their magic surplus.
They've added an addition onto their house for like 30 minutes. That can't use more magic than zapping a car up and down.
Still no rules even when we get more structure.
Valerie shows up and apologizes for what she said. The car starts coughing and Valerie notices it while Sabrina tries to cover it up. Valerie asks to borrow the car because her grandma needed her car back because her ride to church died. Sabrina clearly doesn't want to, but she hears the aunts coming to the garage, so Sabrina tells Valerie to take it and park it at her place. In the background, there are 2 things I noticed. 1 was a championship rodeo poster, so Hilda's clearly been in a rodeo because that's no way that's Zelda. And then I saw a halberd lying on the ground.
What? There was no halberd.
There was.
No.
If you're looking at the garage, it is on the left-hand side by the area where Valerie walked in. And I was like, Skye missed it. And I saw it. And I even Googled image search to halberd to make sure that's the right word for it. And it is. It was lying upside down. So like the blade part of it
Oh.
was towards the ground. So you have to be like really studying the background to see it.
What kind of blade did it have? Axe, spear, hook, spike?
It had an axe part and then it had a pointy part on the end.
Okay, cool.
You want to tell us anything about a halberd while we're on the subject?
Well, it is a long pole arm that normally has on the end an axe, a spearhead, a hook, or a spike. Often used with infantry to get the horses. That sentence made no sense either.
I was like, get the horses what?
Well, you have a line of men on the ground.
Okay.
You have cavalry coming towards you.
Yeah.
You extend your pole arms, and you unfortunately get the horses.
You injure the horse, or maybe kill it, depending on, I don't know. Depends on where you hit the horse, but I feel like some of those horses might just be like, oh, that hurt.
Tis but a flesh wound.
There was also something on the right side, and I kept staring at it, trying to figure out what it was, but there wasn't any clear enough shot of it, but it looked almost like, this is going to sound so weird, robot monkey cardboard cutout.
Okay.
That's like the best way I can describe it, but like not like a robot, like a wind-up toy looking, I guess, robot. I couldn't tell if it was like all part of one piece or if there was something hanging from the ceiling and there was that and there were two separate pieces, but I think they're all one. It distracted me, and then I saw the halberd and I was like, I saw it. I found the weapon.
One thing I did appreciate is that they actually had Zelda's climbing gear in there. There was continuity of, she actually put her climbing gear away.
I did not notice that. So we each get a point. Zelda and Hilda are hauling in boxes from the garage so they can get through the audit. A new letter pops out of the toaster, and the auditors have written to say they're only auditing Zelda because everything is in her name. Sabrina again tries to get Hilda to spend her newly found free time with Mr. Kraft. Sabrina is in her room talking to Salem when the car shows up in her bedroom again. It complains about Valerie's driving and that she sings along with the radio. Either that or she's injured. The phone rings and Valerie is freaking out because the car is gone and she thinks it was stolen. Sabrina reassures her that the car is with her and Valerie is relieved. They hang up, but Valerie calls right back to yell at Sabrina for taking the car. Sabrina is giving Valerie a convoluted excuse as to why she took the car back in the hall and says she didn't drive it to school today.
So let me get this straight. Your aunt had an allergic reaction to frozen yogurt, so you came over to my house in a cab and took the car?
Sure, Sabrina. Harvey arrives asking if they saw the cool orange MGB in the parking lot, so Sabrina says actually she did drive it and takes the keys back from Valerie, who asks to borrow it again during lunch. And Sabrina is a pushover and says sure. Also, in her explanation, she said that she hotwired the car because she didn't have the keys. Harvey asks her where she learned how to hotwire a car. And Sabrina says, my Aunt Zelda. She did time. And I was like, that's the wrong aunt. Nobody's going to believe that one. Say Hilda. Sabrina is anxiously waiting outside for Valerie to return with the car. She arrives, but without the car. Valerie let Mr. Kraft borrow it for a date, and in exchange, they can go to the journalism symposium. Sabrina freaks out and asks where he went, but Valerie doesn't know. Zelda is meeting with the auditor again, but they're putting a lien on her magic, including the laptop. Zelda asks how she's supposed to cast spells, and the auditor gives her a magic wand and a hat. She says this isn't magic, this is a crummy bar mitzvah. Sabrina comes home, and Zelda asks why she was out so late. Sabrina was looking for Mr. Kraft. Zelda says he's at the drive-in with Hilda. Sabrina is stunned. Hilda did it to help Sabrina get to the journalism symposium. Sabrina leaves to thank Hilda. Hilda is watching the movie with Mr. Kraft and hits him when he tries to put his arm around her.
Now it's time for my deep dive.
I am excited for this.
Hilda mentions how it's so thrilling they're watching a Joe Don Baker retrospective, and I'm pretty sure she rolls her eyes. Mr. Kraft says, Buford Pusser fans don't come any bigger than me. So Joe Don Baker was an American actor known for playing tough guy characters on both sides of the law and played Buford Pusser in the Walking Tall series. Walking Tall came out in 1973. Walking Tall Part 2 came out in 75. And then in 77, they decided to use our favorite thing ever, the colon, came out with the final installment, Walking Tall, final chapter. And then, because we love a colon, in 2004, there was a remake of the movie, with the first one being Walking Tall, the second being Walking Tall, colon, the payback, and then Walking Tall, Lone Justice.
That's a lot of walking talls for me to not have heard about any of them.
Right. But Buford is more exciting of a character than Joe. So sorry, Joe, we're not actually going to talk about you. Walking Tall is a 1973 neo-noir biographical vigilante action film based on the story of Buford's life as a professional wrestler under the name Buford the Bull, who turned lawman in McNairy County, Tennessee. So in 1964, he became the youngest sheriff in Tennessee's history and began trying to eliminate the Dixie Mafia and State Line Mob. He survived several alleged assassination attempts. There are, at least in his time as sheriff, credited and proven that he survived 7 stabbings and 8 shootings. Potentially more, all the alleged ones. In August of 1967, he went out to check on a disturbance he was called about, and his wife decided to ride along with him. He said a fast-moving car rode alongside them and opened fire, killing his wife, Pauline, and leaving him for dead. While he vowed to bring his wife's murderers to justice, he never actually pursued prosecution of suspect Kirk C. Nix. In 2024, actually, Tennessee determined it remained an active case as far as his wife's murder, so her remains were exhumed, and the findings were that if Buford were alive, there would be probable cause to charge him with the death of his wife. His own wound was probably self-inflicted. He died on August 21st, 1974, with injuries sustained from a one-car automobile accident. That same day, coincidentally, Buford had contacted Bing Crosby Productions to see about playing himself in the sequel to Walking Tall. So yeah, wanted to kick out our dear friend Joe Don Baker.
The minute he said that a fast-moving car was riding alongside with them and opened fire, I was like, oh, he killed her.
Right.
I know this story. He killed her.
But yeah, there's obviously 2 separate sets of movies, several songs about him, several books about him. He's been, I'd say, probably romanticized more than he should be, given we figured out he killed Pauline.
Well, I mean, we do that to murderers. Wait, so then so this is post when they know. No, that's in 2024 that they found that he probably shot her. Okay. I still think Mr. Kraft may have still been a fan, even post them finding out.
I think so. I think we find out a lot about Mr. Kraft's character.
Sabrina sneaks up to the car and tries to get him to promise to behave tonight. Sometimes I call the car him, sometimes I call the car it. No. The car is very upset, though, and pouts about how Sabrina is treating him. The car starts up and drives off with Hilda and Mr. Kraft screaming. I did enjoy the little, green screen effect of the car driving them. It was good. It was old school classic film stuff. Sabrina goes back to her room, hoping that the car isn't there, but it appears just as she shuts the door, with Hilda and Mr. Kraft still in it. Mr. Kraft luckily has passed out from terror. Hilda and Zelda are lecturing Sabrina while they try to figure out what to do with Mr. Kraft.
Zelda shoots down Sabrina's suggestion of a potion, saying, "Sometimes I worry that all those potions we give him are going to give him some sort of side effect." Meanwhile, poor Harvey. No concern.
And Libby. Libby's been magicked so many times.
Justice for Harvey and Libby.
You know who has not been magicked a surprising amount? Is Valerie. Even Jenny didn't have a ton of magic done on her. A little bit, but not a ton.
Valerie's been, vortexed?
She's also been made more efficient. I don't think we've seen that episode yet. So that one doesn't work. Nope, Jenny was the one that was in the soap opera one. Yeah, I think that's it for Valerie.
Oh, soda. Talent soda.
Oh, the talent one. Duh, we just did that one. Yeah. So not a lot, though. Not anywhere near the amount Harvey or Libby or Mr. Kraft have been through. They end up putting Mr. Kraft on the front porch where he wakes up and Hilda laughs and thanks him for a wonderful date, then shuts the door. The ants are trying to figure out a suitable punishment for Sabrina to help her learn to be responsible.
Hilda bemoans, "It's times like these I regret donating my Iron Maiden to Goodwill." She wants to put her niece in an Iron Maiden.
Of course she does. She's a psychopath.
So, fun fact about the Iron Maiden, since we're here. Obviously, it is a well-known torture device. However, it's probably actually a myth and wasn't actually used in medieval times because you don't get references to it until about the 19th century. When you see it in film, television, whatnot, it's an iron cabinet with a hinged front end and spike-covered interior so you can slowly impale your prisoners or nieces.
Again, I need you to watch Matilda. The cabinet has reappeared in the kitchen. Marty has returned and apologizes for what he did, but he needs to earn the money back he took from them. He just needs a place to lie low. So they zap him into space where he says, "Hey, is that a Yeti?" Which is a callback to our first scene. Sabrina returns the car to the car lot and tells Quizmaster he was right and she couldn't handle the responsibility. He knows, which is why he sold it to her. And we find out even the other realm has student loans. The car asks for a moment to speak to Sabrina and gives her a card saying, "A friend is someone who changes your oil once in a while." She's had the car for like 3 days. You don't need to change oil that frequently, car. You need to calm down a little bit.
I would argue you should only do that to your car friends as well.
Only with consent. Sabrina and Valerie are walking down the hall with new sneakers, and Sabrina trying to find a bright side to not having a car. Mr. Kraft comes up to speak to Sabrina, and Valerie runs off. He has a file he's been keeping on Sabrina and all of her strange behavior. He asks her to explain how he ended up on her porch the other night. Sabrina starts talking about men his age and memory lapses, then jumps to talking about the chess club in an attempt to gaslight him, then walks off. Mr. Kraft stares after her and admits he needs more potassium. In our end tag, Zelda is excited to get her magic back in a week. She hates doing laundry the mortal way.
Here's a tip. It's not equal parts water and bleach. Hilda has to contribute.
Zelda also notices the cabinet is back and asks Hilda if she brought Marty back from outer space. But Sabrina pops her head out instead. Hilda sends her back in to do more filing. And that's the episode. Any final thoughts?
Still thinking about French tacos.
I knew that'd be a good discussion for today. Our next episode is season 2, episode 21, Fear Strikes Up a Conversation. You want to guess what it's about, Skye?
So clearly Mr. Kraft is getting suspicious. He has a full file folder on his suspicions. So there is a fear that Mr. Kraft is now going to try and expose Sabrina, just like Libby tried. He should learn from Libby there. And so someone, Sabrina or Hilda, has to strike up a conversation, tell him what's what, and then probably zap his brain so he can't remember anymore.
That's a good guess.
I'll write that down now.
It's a guess, I will say. I cannot remember exactly what this one is about, so I just looked it up. I think you're going to like the B plot of this one with the ants. I think it's going to be good. Well, until next time, you can like, share, rate, and subscribe to this podcast. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod or TikTok at something.witchy.pod. Until next time.
Stay magical.